Hello and welcome to another episode of War PodCaster. I am your co-host. It still sounds weird to say that. My name is Pete. Hello. I'm joined by my co-host Liam.
Look, if you want to call yourself the host, all you got to do is roll a pretty good persuasion check and maybe beat my insight, and then we'll see.
Hold on.
Oh, go on.
No, 5.
I was about to say, what am I going to give you to your persuasion? What's a Pete persuasion modifier?
I don't think it matters.
I'm going to check
because I
mine.
rolled a 5.
Well, I rolled a 3, so it might have worked.
I mean, my persuasion wasn't very good because I did just say okay and roll. I didn't even make an argument.
There was nothing there. He just went okay.
Yeah, roll. Anyway, hello everyone.
Give me.
Hello, welcome to another episode of War Podcaster. If you're new here, sorry about that. Welcome to the show where we talk about D&D for a while. That's what we do. We just chat about it. My name is Pete. I'm joined by Liam. And first off, we're just going to talk about what we've been doing in D&D, which is precisely nothing. Because of lockdown and such, I've not been able to really do much of anything. Normally we play with each other. I have a campaign that I DM, and Liam has a campaign that he DMs. We play in each other's campaigns, but we haven't been able to do any of that because of lockdown and that. So I have put out an invite, which we haven't actually started yet, but there is plans afoot to begin to do like a one-shot or a little series of one-shots surrounding not quite as good characters. The first idea I had was just to kind of just say, let's run a heist. I'll just run it, you guys make your characters, and let's do it. And that's all it's got to so far. We haven't done it yet, but I'm looking forward to when we do that. Should be good fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. Yeah, I mean, you said heist and then not as good characters, and like one of my favourite films ever is Ocean's 11. So immediately I'm like, yes, I'm in for this. Ocean's 11. I'm gonna be Basham. That's it. I'm just gonna put on a even more accentuated English accent and throw in. I'm gonna have a little sheet of Cockney rhyming slangs.
Amazing. See, this is kind of like Inception, where all the protagonists are just kind of assholes, and they're not doing things for the right reason, but they're heisting someone's mind. So yeah, it's gonna kind of be like that, where people aren't they might have good intentions, maybe, we don't know yet, but they're not necessarily good.
Yeah,
and that seems quite fun because for both of our campaigns, we're very much kind of, we're the heroes. Let's take down the bad people.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about
nice.
our evil or just even like not good campaign a while ago, so now it's time for us to finally actually try it and have, maybe it's a topic we go back to and revisit after actually trying it out.
Yeah, exactly. And especially it's quite exciting for me because I've been trying to homebrew a few subclasses lately, and for this one I was like, hey, if anyone wants to use any of my subclasses, the option's there if we want to give it a test out. And 2 of you have actually said, yep, let's do it. I was like, oh, okay. Wasn't expecting that response. I guess I need to make it in D&D Beyond now. Give me a bit. But yeah, no, I'm quite excited to try and get those tested at least, so we can see what they're like. I don't know how much you want to reveal about what you're doing, but you've opted to go for a monk.
I have opted to go for a monk, and yeah, I mean, you could tell them I will be playing your sort of reworked Way of the Four Elements monk, because Way of the Four Elements monk in the book is caca poo poo.
It's not great.
It's not the best.
Could say that.
If you play one and you make it work, great, but it's not that good. It's not written very well.
No. So what I wanted to do with it is basically make it more like Avatar, because Avatar is amazing, and the whole kind of premise behind this Way of the Four Elements thing is it's supposed to be like a proper journey. It's supposed to be a subclass where you start off at a low level and you have a journey of becoming stronger with your element that you're trying to learn. So you like progressively get more things. Obviously that's how D&D works. You get more things as you level up, but it's an actual you can choose to focus on one element, or you can try and mix between the two, but you won't be as good at all the elements if you try and spread yourself too thin, unless you take all the elements, and then at like 17th level you can get really good at all of them, but then you'd have to sacrifice not being as good for like 17 levels to get there, but the last 3 levels you'd be awesome. So it's like, it's designed to be a long running subclass, and I'm very curious to see what it's going to be like for like a one shot like this, because you're all going to be level 10 for this one shot. So it's like a nice middle ground for this one. You'd be at like the 3rd stage of your elemental mastery, which should be very, very fun.
It's going to be the highest level any of us have played at.
That is true. Yeah. So in your campaign, we're at level 8 now, right?
8 now.
7?
Yeah.
8.
8.
Yeah, and I believe you're also at level 8 in my one.
Correct.
I think. Yeah. Although, who can say when level 9's going to come in? Ooh.
Well, I can say when level 9's going to come into mine. Not for a while.
Yeah, figures.
You just leveled up.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you guys leveled up not too long ago in my one as well, but also I'm going to be leveling up quite quickly from here on out.
Yeah, I did have, like I told you before, I did have some story reworks because you guys expressed interest in wanting to carry on playing the world and the characters you play in my one. And the current story, I don't want to drag it out to level 20 because that'd be ridiculous. So instead of making it sort of like the whole story, which is what I had in mind, it's now just sort of like an arc.
Yes. Yeah, this will just be the first major arc, and then there might be another one.
Probably.
Afterwards.
Exactly that. Oh, I need to level up my NPCs.
Is that the Midas touch?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I need to level them up as well.
Yeah. But before we get into some talking points today, because we don't really have too much else to say about what we've been doing in D&D, because not much. Eagerly anticipating Tasha's Cauldron, really. That's pretty much all it. But we'll go through a few of the comments from the previous episode from YouTube. So we've got one here from Dr. Lipkin. I've just highlighted this because I made a joke, and it seems that the joke didn't go over too well, or people didn't pick up that it was a joke, because he's explained what terminal velocity is to me.
Oh yeah, I saw that as well.
And I know what terminal velocity is. I was making a joke because it's got the word terminal in it, and like terminal illness, people die from terminal stuff. So I was saying, oh yeah, that's why it's called terminal velocity, because people die. And it's like, well, I know what. I'm sorry.
Don't do it again.
But I get it. Thank you, though. Jesse Woodring left a comment saying, in most of the campaigns I've played, the DM would usually allow us to do something crazy if we could explain how we were going to do it. He'd then judge whether it seems possible or not. For the example of grappling a scorpion, I'd say something to the effect of grabbing its tail and pulling backwards. It would prevent it from moving anywhere, but you could still be stung.
True. Yeah. I mean, it's all about the workarounds, because there's nothing in the rules that says you can't do that. It's just, you have to realistically think of how it could happen, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And if you can come up with a way of how you do it, totally, let's go for it. It's like in, I can't remember whether we spoke about this on the episode or not, because it feels like it's been 17 years since we last recorded, even though it's been a week. I think like I can't remember whether I mentioned in the episode or not, but we had an example where you guys were facing giants, and someone wanted to run around the giant because they're a monk and they have 55 feet of movement.
Yeah.
They were like, can I just run around this giant with a rope and just make circles around it so that when it tries to move, it'll trip over the rope? And I was like, I mean, realistically, yes, but what would that? I don't know. What would that do? What is that? I don't know. And it's like, does that get opportunity attacks because you'd be going in and out of its combat? But you wouldn't be going in and out of its combat because you'd be in its space because it's huge and you're medium. I got very much in my own head for that one. But
they broke your brain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we had a big old halt on the combat, which is something I never wanted to do. But yeah, but we came up with a solution in the end. I said, yeah, it's basically grappled from it. I think they made a check. They succeeded on it. I said, it's basically grappled. It's going to try and escape. And the first thing it did was roll a huge thing, and it snapped the rope. And I was like, there you go. Have fun with that.
Job done.
Yep. We've got another one here, and I'm very sorry if I butcher your name. Fran Kraljevski.
Krashovsky. I don't know, that's probably not right, but Krashovsky.
It's Kraljevski. Kraljevski.
I think it's Zhov.
Yep.
I think Joff is the sound of that, but go for it.
Yep. Talking about like realistic HP and stuff like that. The way we hand wave HP and healing at our table is that taking a hit is mostly the character narrowly avoiding a lethal hit, or like an arrow whizzes past your head. You only really get hit if you take a lot of damage, or from a hit that takes you down to 0. Basically, losing HP is your character expanding energy to not die. I think this also helps explain why you get back to full HP after sleeping for a bit.
Yeah,
I think it's interesting.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, it definitely plays more into realism because, you know, if you're being attacked by, what was something I thought of the other day? Bulls. What was something I thought of the other day?
And the last example you gave was a giant with a club.
Yeah, then I thought of a funnier one. I think it's a giant purple worm.
Yeah.
That eats you.
Yeah.
And chews you.
Yeah.
And you're fine.
Yep.
Like, it literally eats, like, everyone knows how eating food works, right? You chew it, and it turns into bits.
Yeah. Yeah, but these guys are heroes, Liam.
Yeah, clearly.
They don't get to be bitten into pieces. We'll have one more comment here from Maxman475, and this I thought was quite amusing because it says, "Has there been any point in a campaign you thought you might have to soldier on without a beloved character?" Yeah. Yeah, there is.
In
your one, yeah.
you can link them the video.
I can if you're watching the YouTube version or listening to it. In the description of the of this video will be a link to a story that Liam and I have done on this very channel, talking about how we had to kill a PC. It was awful in the best way. So yes, we absolutely have had to soldier on without a beloved character. But yes, thank you very much for your comments. If you want us to read out some more, please do leave a comment on this one on the YouTube version. I don't know what's going on with Apple Podcasts, but we'll potentially get some reviews in if it ever actually goes over there. We'll figure it out, I'm sure. But for now, I think it's time to get into some talking points. What do you reckon?
Yeah, play those drums.
For the talking points today, each of us have brought a talking point that we want to talk about today. Let's roll off. Here we go. So for this one, I'm going to roll first.
Alrighty.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, you won.
I did. 8.
Well. It went off the table. Again, I only have a tiny table space. 16.
16. That means you are first, yet again.
I am first yet again. So, the talking point from me, and it's one that we touched on breaking a bit of 4-4. It's one that we touched on a couple weeks ago, and we said, we should use that next week, and then we both completely forgot.
Yep.
And then for some reason, I just had like a Jimmy Neutron brain blast today and just remembered it. And now it's been stuck in my head all day, so now we will talk about it.
Okay.
Character flaws.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Now you remember, don't you? Character flaws. Get you one.
Yeah, and ceilings.
Basically, for those who are newer, potentially, a character flaw is just something that you can put into your sort of character's personality section, and something that is what it is, a flaw, because the character is not perfect, and they have something that is not a good trait about them. There is something that is a flaw, for lack of a better word.
Yes, exactly, yes.
And every character, I truly believe, should have one.
I agree. Absolutely,
Every character should have some kind of flaw, or some kind of issue, or something that, it doesn't have to be major, but it's something that is not Mr. Perfect. I'm looking to avenge my family and they killed my uncle, or something like, I'm looking to get the crown. Like, everyone should have some kind of flaw that other characters or anyone can sort of look at you and go, Not sure about that one, Chief.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think, okay, to play devil's advocate, because I do agree with you, I think if you're playing in that sort of like, for example, the one shot that I mentioned at the opening of the episode that we're going to be doing with the good, the not good characters. I'm not expecting you guys to have crazy epic backstories with character development and all that stuff. If you guys want to be like, hey man, I'm a cool edgy boy, I'll be like, all right, cool, for like a one shot. That's fine. You don't have to have all the flaws and everything. But if you're playing in a campaign that's going to have more than one session, I would highly recommend having a flaw, because then that leads to the essence of what I believe D&D is about, which is storytelling.
Yes.
Because how can you tell a story if everyone is already at the end of the story? That's how character development works.
Exactly. And even if we both agree, we both have characters, a number of characters. So you can tell me what your character flaw is, and then then give people an idea.
Totally, as in my one for your campaign.
Absolutely.
My character's afraid of confrontation. He hates it. Not necessarily like physical confrontation, but dealing with running away from problems and refusing to face them. That's like his whole thing of why he ran away from home.
Yeah.
Because he just couldn't take it. He ran away, and now he doesn't want to go back because he can't deal with facing his family who he ran away from and believe he might be dead. There's that. So
that's a big one.
That's a pretty big one. So he really doesn't want to go home. He doesn't want to confront the problem. He's just continually running.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my one. How about yours?
Well, my little wood elf cleric ranger. Many people have sort of pegged him down as someone who's a bit stoic and not necessarily the most likable of people anyway.
Yep.
However, the character flaw for Thamior is he doesn't believe that those who can't save themselves are worth saving, or those who don't fight are worth it. Like, those who would just give up and quit and run or not fight for what they need or what they want, they're not worth it, and it's a strong survive and weak perish world.
Yeah. So even despite, Thamior can have heroic tendencies to help people, he's only willing to help people who want to help themselves in the first place, but just don't have the means.
Exactly.
It's not just please, I'm so weak, I can't do anything. You're like, well, man up. Dude, sort it out, mate.
Yeah, we had that moment in your campaign where we sort of got to a tree village they were living in the treetops. Thamior asked them sort of so how's things go here? And they told us, and we was like, so what do you do when you have issues arise? And they were like, oh, we just don't do anything. Just sort of hide, or, nothing really happens. And he was like, oh, so you don't have weapons or anything? And they were like, no, we just don't fight, don't have any weapons or anything. And at that point, Thamior was done. He's just like, all right, well, you're not worth it.
Yeah, and he was like, okay, I want to leave.
Yeah, it was very much just like, these people aren't worth my time. These people aren't ready for the world.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. They were living in ignorance in his mind, and yeah, they weren't worth his time or protection.
Yeah. But those are two sort of more major flaws. Those are quite heavy ones, I'd say. So they're ones that would impact character and sort of build and the world around you, and might affect how you sort of talk to other people. But flaws, you don't. First of all, you don't only have to have one. And
no, totally.
Second of all, they don't all have to be that serious. I think I saw one the other day because I saw a bunch of flaws that it's it might have been a Reddit thread or something. But I saw a bunch of people that were posting sort of their character flaws, and there was a lot of funny ones in there. Someone said, I have a bowl, and every meal I eat has to be out of this bowl, otherwise I won't eat. And that was it. That was the flaw.
That's really good.
So it was they went to, and she said we went to a fancy dinner, and I had to bring the bowl because I had to eat the food, otherwise I offended people. But then I offended them because I ate out of the bowl.
Yeah. Oh man, that's great. That's so good.
Yeah.
See, even like for smaller ones, like one that I haven't really thought about, but I guess now we're talking about it, I'm kind of realizing it more about my own character that I play. But for Cormo, who's also got this, fear of confrontation, he also is so infatuated with magic that he will use it to his own detriment.
Yeah.
In that, like, he's in a life and death situation. He's like, no, I am sticking to my magic, when his really good crossbow is right there.
Yeah.
Like, and he's a level 7 rogue. It's like he's, a level 6 rogue. It's like he's much better with the crossbow than he is at magic. And, yeah, he's it's so infatuated with it. He's like, no, I will continue to use Burning Hands. Thank you very much.
Yeah, bravado can be a big one.
Yeah.
But there's loads of different ones you can have. Although I would say there are some you should obviously steer away from.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's something that can be a detriment to not only kind of the storytelling, but also can be a detriment to the other people in your party and the DM, which you don't want to have.
Stuff like being a kleptomaniac, whilst funny, is funny if not taken to the extent of ruining the other player's game.
Yes.
Like nobody wants to be in that position where someone says, "I pickpocket my friend," and then you have to spend like 3 hours pretending they don't have your gold, and you've got to have that weird, awkward confrontation, and they're lying, and you're trying really hard not to metagame, and they're just being a dick, and you just kind of have to deal with it, and then it's less fun.
Yes, exactly. Or like, if you're playing in a campaign where you're just murder hobos and you're evil, okay, cool, fine. If you're playing a stereotypical good guys versus bad guys campaign, and one of the people shows up and just goes, "Oh my god, you reminded me of a person that I killed once. I have to kill you now," and you just go and murder an important NPC, that's not a good flaw.
Yeah.
Because that's just gonna ruin everything.
Don't be a Jerry.
Don't be Jerry the arsonist.
Don't be Jerry.
Right?
Just don't burn down that building.
Yeah.
And obviously the other ones to avoid stuff like, I hate all dwarves. Like, that's not a flaw. That's just uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's not a flaw. That's called racism.
Yeah, it's just uncomfortable to deal with, and no one wants to be put in that position. And just things like that. Stuff like, I hate women. Like, it's not a flaw.
Yeah, no.
It is a flaw, but it's not a flaw you should put in your make-believe game.
Yeah, okay, let's clarify. It absolutely is a flaw of a person's character. It's not a flaw you should have on your character in D&D.
Yes, it's not something that you should bring into a fun game that is accepting of all.
Exactly, yes. Absolutely right.
But there are there's loads of fun ones you can do.
Yeah, totally, yeah. From small to big, flaws allow growth of character and storytelling to take place. Like, there's even one that I love so much because I teed him up for it so perfectly. It was in your campaign, Liam, where a character we've mentioned before, who joined the party late, they stopped playing one character and started playing another. And when they came in as their new character, we went into a swamp, and they refused to walk in the swamp. They wanted someone to carry them because they were a bit stuck up.
They did,
and we went back to that swamp later on, which had been after we'd been traveling for quite a bit. We'd done a load of stuff with this character now. We'd gone to this wizard tower. We'd been in like the sewer system. We've been through all sorts of stuff with this character now, and we went back to the swamp. And I turned to him, and I purposefully teed him up to show the character growth. And I said, "Do you want to walk in the swamp again?" And then he went, "Yeah, no, I don't want to walk in the swamp. I will walk in the swamp this time." It was, oh man, it was so funny.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yep, teed you up for it." And character growth, it's there.
Yeah.
Set up and pay off.
It's perfect. It's great. I mean, yeah, it's so worth putting in just because it adds another depth to your character. Because it can be very exhausting trying to play a character that's perfect all the time and someone who never makes a mistake.
Yeah,
especially
totally.
in a game that's decided by dice.
Speaking of mistakes, like that's a huge flaw in a character, is being able to, be emotional or act irrationally, or just not be able to take in a full situation. And even some stuff to where you can be too nice to your own detriment, that's a flaw. Like, you can be too perfect.
Absolutely.
that is a flaw. Like, even for I know we keep bringing up examples, but that's what we're going off, is our experiences. Even for someone like me, I thought we were attacking a bunch of innocent people that turned out to be werewolves, and I told my whole party to stop attacking these people. They're innocent people, and they turned out to be werewolves. My character felt like an idiot, but he's stuck by his guns, and he'd be like, hey, what if they were innocent people? Like, we shouldn't be going in and just attacking people without knowing that they're dangerous, kind of thing. So it led to like this like inner party confrontation, which was really interesting and fun to explore, but I wouldn't have done that if my character didn't have the quote unquote flaw of being able to look at everyone as good, innocent until proven guilty, essentially.
Or you could just really hate the bagpipes. I wasn't sure if my microphone or if my headset broke or something. You went completely quiet. I wasn't sure. Sorry for that, like 2 seconds of dead air there, but I thought I'd lost Pete on the call.
It won't be dead air on my end. I was cracking up.
It peaked on my end. I just didn't hear anything. I was like, are you okay there?
Oh man, that was great. Yeah. Yeah, totally. I ran a one shot which we never actually got to finish for my work. Which we were running one shots during lunchtime, which we called Luncheons and Dragons.
Great name.
Best name. And we only managed to do one session before lockdown. But we had one of the characters which is like, I really don't like pigs. It's just like that was it. That was the flaw. And it really helped, because it could have been completely nothing, but I threw in an extra line as they were leaving their town to go on their quest that they've been given. I was like, can you leave behind the fresh air as you head towards the mountains, the sound of pigs fading into the distance, and instantly their heads snapped towards me, which went, pigs? I was like, it's really fun to be able to have little things that DMs can use, the rest of your party can use to help flesh out a character a bit more.
Yeah.
Instead of having, because I think when everyone creates a character, they have the idea in their head of, this is the race I want to be, this is the class I want to be, this is how I picture them moving in combat and things like that, this is the spells I want them to have, but they don't think necessarily about them as a person and about the good and the bad that come with being a person. So I think it's really good to focus more, probably more, on the flaws than on the good stuff.
Absolutely. No, absolutely agree. I'm glad we match up on that one, and I hope some people, if you are making a character, do look into the sort of flaws bit a bit more, because it can help. It can really help with the direction of your character. It can really help with where you see them going.
Yeah, and as a final point as well, you don't have to write all these things down as part of your backstory or anything. A lot of it can come up through the course of play. Even if you have a certain idea of who your character is and stuff, you can have flaws arise just as you're playing. I even mentioned earlier, I didn't realize how much that my character was so infatuated with magic that he'd use it despite his crossbows right there. But that's something that just kind of happened because we were playing through the campaign, and that's what he's done. So it's stuff that you don't have to necessarily have fleshed out as part of your backstory. It's stuff that you can just add on later. But it's just interesting. So, my talking point. Let's do my one for today. So, an interesting one that I think people talk about a lot, but I think people almost talk about it too much, is having a balanced party. So having stuff when you're having, let's say you're having a session 0 and people will be like, okay, so we've got a wizard.
Yeah.
We've got a ranger.
Yeah.
But we've not got anyone that's face threatening. I guess I'll be a barbarian because I want to kind of be face tanky.
Yeah.
Or we don't have any healers. I guess I'll play a cleric.
Yeah.
Right. I hate that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Really, really don't do that. Because let everyone play what they want to play. If you're a DM and you're worried about your party not having any healing or anything, then just make sure they have way more healing potions than normal. Like, have ways and means of overcoming those obstacles instead of shoehorning players into roles they don't want to do, because that is a recipe for an unhappy party.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, yeah. Player that plays in our party lives with me. He was starting a new campaign the other day, and basically said, like, I'm gonna have to play a cleric again. Like, no one has we don't have the cleric. And he was saying, like, I play cleric so much, and it's like, you don't have to. Like, if you don't want to, because then you're not going to be as into it, and you feel like you're going to be treading old ground, and there's a chance that you're not sort of role-playing this character, you're just sort of like role-playing a shadow of one that you've played before because you're not as into it, kind of thing. And there's a lot of issues that can come up when you're playing something for the sake of playing something as opposed to something that you want to actually play.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, to expand on that point as a very real example, the party that we've got in my campaign should not work. It really shouldn't work.
No, it's quite bad.
We've got 2 monks, a cleric ranger, a bard, and a cleric wizard, right? So, granted, we've got 2 people that are kind of front-facing. You have nothing that can take significant hits.
No.
At all.
No.
And your cleric ranger and cleric wizard aren't healers. They happen to have healing spells. But that's not their main focus. The wizard has 1 level in cleric, and the rest in wizard. And you, who's a cleric ranger, you have healing spells and can heal, but your primary focus is to deal out that lightning damage. You're a Tempest cleric.
Yeah,
like do the damages.
Yeah, I think I've cast Cure Wounds maybe 10 times in 8 levels, and maybe 3 times of that was me, like, on myself.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
think it's not like you can again, and that gets into another one of like the character tropes, but we can get into that on another topic because that's a whole different thing. But even if you do play a cleric, don't let people pigeonhole you in saying, oh, now we have a healer. You don't have to. There's a lot of clerics that don't focus on healing, like the Tempest Domain cleric and like the Light Domain cleric, which gets things like Fireball and everything. So it's clearly like an evocation cleric.
Yeah. The thing with clerics is that they are the most versatile class in that they can fill. If we're talking about roles in quotation mark in a party, that's ROLES, not ROLLS. Very confusing in talking about D&D. If we're talking about roles within a party, cleric can fit basically any of them and be really, really good at it.
Yeah.
That's what a cleric does. So if you don't have a healer, sure thing, cleric would be a very good healer. If you don't have a tanky, heavy armor badass who wants to fight on the front lines, a cleric can do that. Like, you can have a cleric do anything. So yeah, don't let people say that, like, okay, you're the healer, because you don't have to be. Do what you want to do. And if you're seeing in your party, like that, I'll even peel back the curtain even more on my campaign. We had after you guys faced a dragon, I was giving out a load of loot for everybody, and there was some specific stuff that I'd pinpointed, and some other stuff that I had just kind of said, this will be cool, someone will take it. And some of that I was like, here's this bow, which definitely your character will take, because you're the only one that really uses a bow. We've got another stuff that's like this really cool ring that has this cool effect, and we've got this armor that's probably going to go to this character, and I was like, here's a staff of healing. Which will be really cool for someone. There's two characters in a party that use staff, so I was like, well, one of them will take it, and you know what? One of them is a bard who can heal, and one of them is a cleric wizard. As it turns out, the cleric wizard got the dragon scale armor, so the staff of healing, I assumed, was going to go to the bard. Yay, everybody's happy. But he turned to me and he was like, I don't want it. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
What's going on? He was like, I don't want to play another healer. I play healer all the time. Like, I don't want to be pigeonholed into that. And I was like, okay, like, that's a very fair point. I'll go away and I'll think about it. And I've got, obviously we haven't come to the solution yet because I have to put it into the campaign, but there's going to be something coming up, spoilers, that hopefully will help remedy that.
Okay.
And make him not pigeonholed into that healer role, because like I said, you guys don't really have healers. But there's hopefully going to be something that will at least excite them and make them happy that not only do they have this stuff of healing, but maybe something else. Like it's a legitimate issue for a DM to try and face, but with enough creativity, you can totally overcome it without having to pigeonhole people into certain roles.
Well, you want to talk about party compositions? You guys don't have a cleric in my campaign.
Nope.
You guys don't have one.
No.
And if someone dies, that's it. You're dead.
We have no revivify.
Yeah.
We have nothing.
No revivify. Your healer is the druid.
Yep.
And that's your only healing. You have someone who has a level 1 bard. I don't think he has healing word.
Nope.
And that's it. So a lot of sort of, if you guys were to have like 4 or 5 combats in one day, it could get rough. But as a DM, I manage that because I know you guys don't have Revivify, and I know you guys don't have things like Greater Restoration. So if it comes time for things like those, then you work around it.
Absolutely, yeah. And you can, if it gets to a point where you need to have, these either like deadly encounters, or you need to have stuff where you've got someone getting petrified or something like that you need something like Greater Restoration for, and you don't have that in your party, give them an item beforehand, maybe like sessions and sessions beforehand, setting it up where you can say, here's this one-time use item that will bring someone back from the dead, or here's this one-time use item that will make someone unpetrified, and you give that to them in advance so that when the time comes for someone to need to use it, your players aren't just going, we're screwed.
Yeah, that's
we
it
don't
now.
have a cleric. Yeah, I think it just requires more DM creativity at the end of the day. As a tangential point as well, just in terms of not necessarily balancing a party in terms of roles, but balancing a party in terms of stats. It's very popular to roll for stats. I bloody love it. It's great. And speaking of, character flaws and stuff like that, I enjoy having at least one low stat because it helps me realistically think about what a character's not good at, as well as having stuff that they are good at. So, for example, my rogue wizard he's pretty good at sneaking. He's pretty good at firing his crossbow and stealth and sleight of hand and all the rogue stuff. He's not great at magic, but he's trying. And he's really bad at strength. He's not very strong.
Yeah.
It allows me to have some sort of balance in that way. When you roll for stats, though, you do run the risk that someone has a character that's really good at everything.
Yes.
If someone rolls really well, someone's just really good at everything. And something that I'm probably going to, not necessarily enforce, but something I would highly recommend for my second campaign when it rolls around, is that if someone rolls too good, they would lower some of their stats, because it would really suck for someone who's a specialist in one thing to have someone in the party who's better than them at that.
Yeah.
Who's also good at everything else.
That's usually quite a worry, isn't it? That you have two people that sort of do the same thing, and then sort of one person does it slightly better, and then the whole party starts to get into a situation like, well, why would I try this? And you do get that when, again, it goes back to the whole thing. People go, we need a face, and then some party groups can be like, well, the bard has to do all the talking then because he has the highest charisma and has the highest sort of like persuasion and everything. Well, that's not the case at all. Like, the bard doesn't have to do all the talking and everything just because they have the highest stat. They may not even be there at the situation where talking needs to happen.
Or they may not have the information necessary to get across the right point, or whatever it may be.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's loads of situations where they don't have to be the one doing it. So yeah, would you enforce that, or would you like recommend it to be like, hey man, your stats are really good, how about you tone it down a bit?
I usually encourage people to have a bad stat. Like, I usually encourage people to do. Whenever I hear people rolling stats, and if they tell me like, oh, I got, 18, 16, 16, 15, 14, 14 or whatever, I'm usually like, oh, well, that I actively and openly say, oh, well, that sounds boring. Just like, that sounds very boring to me, to just be that good at everything.
Exactly. Yes, I think that's what it comes down to, is that you don't want someone who's really good at everything. Kind of the inverse of not having enough roles in the party is having someone or people, multiple potentially if you get really good roles, that are just good at everything, so that you don't have any holes in your party at all, and you can just do everything all the time. I think that can also, in kind of an inverse way, also lead to some player frustration, because their character doesn't get to shine at the thing that they're supposed to be good at. Yeah. Like if you're the rogue, but your dexterity is 14, and then you've got the fighter that's next to you, he's like, my dexterity's 17, I'll be doing all the stealthing, thanks, and doing all the scouting up ahead. It's like, well, what am I here for?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Realistically, your character in the party will be like, well, why am I here?
Yeah, you don't need me.
Yeah, why am I here? I'll go.
Yeah, so I think, it's a hard balance to strike, because you don't want it to you don't want to be like, stop being so good, because a lot of people will feel very good about being good. They enjoy dishing out a lot of damage, they enjoy being completely hidden, they enjoy getting all the amazing kills and all that stuff. But I think it's really important to remember that the reason you're playing is to tell a story, and like we said earlier with your character flaws, having something that you're bad at is good. Like that's a whole point of having a dynamic party, is that people specialize in certain things, and that allows the party to grow as a unit and also grow as individuals. I just think it's really important to balance the party correctly. Plus,
the bad stuff can be funny. I mean, going back, if we look at stats, who doesn't laugh when someone rolls a stat and you go, yeah, I've got a 3, and that's a 3 with my +0. Like, who doesn't laugh? Who doesn't laugh when someone's trying to make a persuasion check and they get 3?
Yeah, like or even funnier if they've got a negative and they go, I rolled a 5, so 3.
Yeah,
like that's really good.
A 0 in stealth is always funny. A 0 in acrobatics is always funny. 0s in like persuasions and stuff like that, always funny. And even things like 0 in history, because you could make a history check and fail it. You don't have to let everyone know you fail it. You can just pretend or make it up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just roleplay and just be like, yes, I do know this.
Yes, this, that, and bobbins. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, Jerry, the arsenal. But I think it's like I was saying before. It's really good to try and balance it, and it actually leans into a video that I'm going to be making on the YouTube channel soon, hopefully. Spoilers for this video that's coming out later.
I'll close my ears.
It's just going to be talking about how failing is better than succeeding in D&D.
Is this a hot or a cold take, Pete?
That is one of those videos.
Oh,
yes.
Wow.
Failing is better than succeeding. Gosh. Because I'm not going to go into the whole argument here, but here's a little teaser for it. In that, if your DM's got a story, let's say, and you get your quest, you go do the thing, you kill the bad, you come back and you get your reward. All right, cool. That was great. What happens if you go there and someone dies? Oh my god, you've got a whole story out of that.
Yeah.
Oh my god, how are the characters dealing with that? Oh no, we're gonna have to tell their family. Like, oh no, like there's so many ramifications and things that lead from that. That being able to failing is part of storytelling. Overcoming obstacles is part of storytelling, and failing leads to greater successes. Failing is better than succeeding.
Yeah.
There's a much better argument that I'll actually write a script for the video, but
also
that's the premise.
Yeah, and then going back to the root of your argument, character sort of class roles. If you're trying to tell me 4 bards going around as a travelling band doesn't sound fun, then you're insane. If you haven't wanted to try that at least once, 4 different bards, and you go, right, you're on drums, you're our guitarist, you're our bass player. Like, if you haven't wanted to do that, you're nuts. Or if at some point you haven't just gone, what if we had a campaign where we're all barbarians and we're literally just like these lunatics that run around stealing villages from people? Or
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually even going to say, for the heist that we're going to do at some point, because I've got a homebrew rogue subclass that's all kind of about spying and subterfuge and sneaking and stuff like that, and using magic to assist you in that. It's kind of like Arcane Trickster, but less tricksy and more just like, I'm going to steal stuff.
Yep.
And it's all the magic is designed to help people do better sneaking, essentially. And I was going to say, like, all of you have to play this subclass.
Yeah.
And just see how it goes. But I didn't want to. I wanted you guys to have a bit more freedom. But I still think that sounds pretty fun. Like, you're all part of this one Thieves Guild, and you all had the same kind of training, so you'd all be the same subclass.
If we done that,
see how it goes.
If we done that with our 3 players, I would encourage us to split up the name Houdini across all of us.
Hello, my name is Who.
Yeah.
Hello, yes.
D. Nee.
I'm D. I'm Nee.
Yep, that's exactly it. Oh, that reminds me of my goblin character. My goblin... Was it goblins? Were they goblins? I can't remember now. The 2 people that were... The people that worked in the pub.
Oh, no.
Yeah, who was it? It was the people that... It was the... balls. Who was it? I'm not going to remember.
No.
They worked in the succulent cow.
That's right. The succulent cow. Oh, God, that's really going to bug me. Hold on. I've got my notebook next to me.
Yeah, who was it?
Let's see if I can find my notes here.
They worked in the succulent cow. I gave them stupid names. It was something like...
You did?
It was something like Rug and Tug.
That's it. Yeah.
It was something like Rug and Tug, or like Bob and Rob, or something stupid.
Yeah. God, I have so many pages that are just nothing in this book.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'd be surprised if you took notes of this, then you've just taken notes of any old codswallop.
I absolutely would have. Oh man,
I might find it before you, because it might be on my Evernote. For those of you wondering, I use Evernote for my D&D notes.
I use OneNote. That's a whole discussion point for another day. But while I'm looking for this, though, I will say we should probably move on to the last segment of the show.
We should. We spent a long time on topics today.
The deck of many characters, which is a recurring segment at the end of the show where, oh my god, there's a shop called Knickknacks and Wax in your...
Yes, there is. Knickknacks and Wax.
I forgot about that. That's great. Sorry, I got very distracted because I'm reminiscing about all these notes that I'm looking at. Gilded glass, bottom of the barrel, succulent cow. I'm there. Where's the names? Oh man. No, I don't think I wrote them down. No. Oh man, that sucks. I thought I did.
It was something like Rug and Tug, or like
Yeah.
Rug Tug and Rug Bug.
Yeah, something really stupid.
Yeah, it's like Rug Tug and Tug Rug.
Anyway, let's move on from that and put my book away before I get distracted some more.
Yeah, before you start going, Siri! I forgot about Siri!
Siri, yep. Deck of many characters, where we have created a character on D&D Beyond. Please sponsor us, D&D Beyond. And we will explain the details of that character to our fellow co-host. They then have exactly 1 minute to explain who that character is and their backstory and how they'd roleplay them. We have 2 suggestions today for extra challenges on top of it. We encourage you guys
balls,
to
I always forget about these.
I know, yeah. Encourage you guys to please leave a comment in the YouTube video, and we'll try and take your suggestions for future extra challenges on top of this, so extra things that we have to include in these backstories, etc. I've got one here from Mr. Wrestles, who says, for Deck of Many Characters, my challenge is you must incorporate an animal partner in your lore akin to Banjo-Kazooie.
Okay, I like that one.
Yeah.
Quite like that.
Yeah, okay. And the other one is a part of a comment that we read out earlier from Jesse Woodring. It says, for the deck of many characters, incorporate one thing, be it item or companion, that your character cannot live without. The weirder, the better, like their security blanket from when they grew up.
Or the bowl that someone has to eat out of no matter what.
Absolutely that, yes.
Callback.
Yeah, very good. I mean, we could kind of incorporate the both of them with that.
Oh, should we?
And we could just
try
say
it?
that it has to be an animal partner that you can't live without. It's not just an animal partner. It's like, it's an animal partner that you can't live without. That, I don't know.
Yeah, no. I'm all for it. Yeah, I like it.
Okay, cool. All right, let's roll off.
All right, you're first.
See who goes first. I'll go first, yeah, because I won last week.
You did.
Let's go. Here
2
we
in a
go.
row.
Oh, 17.
That's pretty big. Oh, 7.
It's ya boy.
I don't like going.
The winner.
I don't like going first.
Okay, so it's me describing to you. Okay, so you heard me before we started recording today. You heard me remark while I was making this. I was like, "Oh, are you kidding me with this?" You're about to see why.
Okay.
Bear in mind the extra deck of many characters suggestion we just got from the comments.
Alrighty.
You are a ranger.
Okay, sure, yeah.
You are a beastmaster.
Oh, you've given me an easy one here.
Yep. Legit. The thing is, I rolled for all of this. Okay. I just rolled for it. I rolled the race, the class, the stats, everything.
All right, I'm gonna try and make it interesting.
So yes, you're a beastmaster ranger.
Okay.
You are a Asimar.
Okay. It's always Asimar. I can't spell it.
It's double A. At the start.
Yeah, but I know what correct happens.
Your background is soldier.
Okay.
Some stats. Give you them. So you have very, very good dexterity.
Very good dex.
You have really good wisdom and charisma.
Okay.
And you have average strength, con, and intelligence.
I can't spell. Okay.
Is there anything else you would like to know?
What weapon do I use?
You have 2 weapon fighting, so let's say it's 2 short swords.
Okay. 2 short swords. Not short swords. 2 short swords. Okay. I feel like I can work.
Oh, God.
Go on.
I don't have my phone.
Oh. If only you had the.
I got it.
If only you had the internet at your fingertips.
Shut up! I've got it. The timer. Okay, are you ready to go?
Oh, I should. I laughed at.
Oh, you need a name.
Oh yeah, give me a name.
Your name is Keragri.
Oh, God, you don't make it easy, do you? What? Correct.
Karagni.
Karagni.
Kerang, yeah. Keragri.
Agri.
Karagri.
Sorry, Karagri. God,
There we go.
that's what I wake up with in the morning when I haven't slept properly. Got a sore
Right,
Karagri.
are you ready to go? You've had so long to think about this. Are you ready?
I haven't thought about it, but yeah, go.
Okay, 1 minute on the clock. Here we go.
Have I started? You said here we.
Yes!
You just said here we go.
I said 1 minute on the clock. Here we go. Okay, fine. I'm resetting. Okay, 1 minute starting now.
Okay, so we got Karagri, the ranger. He was part of. He's part of like this sort of like Queen's Guard kind of thing. It's like a guard that sort of goes around the woods that surround this sort of like large kingdom, and it sort of protects them from the from sort of large beasts that come towards them. Because at the center of this kingdom is this tree that grows golden fruit that all of these natural beasts want to get at. One day, while sort of journeying around and protecting them, he sort of comes across this large sort of like boa constrictor snake that he takes pity on as it sort of like whispers in his ear. He can almost swear he can make out the words of it, and he decides to keep it as his partner, almost as such. As he sort of like brings this beast back, many of them want to chuck it out. However, the local wizard gives him an enchanted mouse that he can feed to the snake constantly, and the mouse will always come back to life and pop back into his pocket the next morning.
That's fun. That little detail at the end with the enchanted mouse is really, really cool. I really like that.
Yeah, I wanted to put in one that sort of, because we said we wanted to put an animal that you couldn't be without, and I was like, all right, I'm going to throw a curveball at you. It's not the snake that you can't be without. It's the mouse, because the mouse feeds the snake.
It's the mouse. Ah, man.
Yeah, it's the mouse that you can't be without, because the mouse feeds the snake.
Yes, very, very well done with that. That was very, very good. Yeah, literally. I was gathering the comments beforehand, and I just saw like, okay, got to incorporate an animal partner, and the other one just being like, it's got to be something you can't live without, an item or a companion, and I was like, okay, rolled it, and I was like, Ranger, Beastmaster. I was like, are you kidding? All right.
Well, mine isn't as friendly.
Fantastic.
Yeah, mine is not nearly as friendly.
I didn't have a backstory for this one planned out because I rolled it right before we started recording. So
that's fair. I have a vague backstory for this one.
Okay. Right. I'm ready for some details. Hit me with it.
Alrighty. You are, I'll give you a race first. You are an air genasi.
Okay, fun.
And your name is Whisper.
Whisper.
Yeah. You're a monk.
Okay.
Way of the Shadow.
Okay.
Really good dex.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good wisdom and pretty good constitution as well.
Okay.
Background is urchin.
Oh god, I don't even know what that's about. Okay.
Grew up on the streets, orphaned and poor. That's the first sentence.
Fantastic. Okay, that gives me enough.
Yep. You are, if it helps, you have sleight of hand.
Yep.
Perception.
Yep.
Disguise kit.
Mm-hmm.
And thieves' tools.
Okay.
Is there anything special that I put in the inventory? No, nothing special in the inventory. So you can let your mind go crazy with that.
Okay.
Anything else you feel like you want to know?
I don't think so.
Oh, they do have another language. They do have a language if you want it.
Sure.
Primordial.
Great. That helps so much.
Oh, and they're also proficient with painter's supplies, so do with that as you wish.
Okay.
I made this character a while ago.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Let me get up the timer.
Okay.
Timer. Clock. Timer. Still on 1 minute from last week. Are you ready? You'll go on go.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go!
Okay, so Whisper the Air Genasi was born, impoverished, and grew up on the streets. He was orphaned at a very young age and cast out. Not necessarily from his parents dying, they literally just banished him from their family and grew up very poor on the streets and had to fend for himself at a very young age. Because of that, he was resorted to stealing from innocent bystanders and learning kind of very much street smarts but lacking in book smarts. And on one of the attempts that he had to try and rob someone, he actually tried to rob a very important member of the city in which he grew up in, and they actually took pity on seeing him and how poor he was and handed him a simple gold medallion that allowed him access into the monk monastery that was nearby. And being able to enter into it, he kind of used his street smarts he had and the the lithe physique that he picked up just from being kind of underfed. He was taken into this monastery and was shown the way of the shadow.
And there was an animal at some point.
Oh yeah, it was an animal companion. Fuck.
There was an animal. You went with the item.
I was thinking about an item that they couldn't live without. I forgot it had to be an animal.
You took the coin.
Okay. Pretend that the coin was instead a mouse.
A mouse. The magic mouse. He gets around.
Yeah, and they gave him access to the thing.
I did leave out one detail that I forgot to mention. I'm not sure how much it would have changed the story, but he has one eye and wears an eye patch.
Oh yeah, that just leans into it. He was poorly treated on the streets.
Yeah, he has one eye and wears an eye patch.
And okay, if I was doing it properly with an animal, the first thing that came to my head when you reminded me of that was that he befriended some sort of street creature like a rat.
Yep.
That he can't be without.
There
you go.
I had a vague backstory for this one. It's not in depth of the Lion King one I had last week. So the vague idea behind this one is, and it sort of leans into Air Genasi backstory, or sorry, not air genasi, just genesi backstory in general, because they are half genies. However, genies live on a completely different realm, and it's very, very, very common practice for genies to never ever sort of communicate or ever see their children. Like, that's it. You just don't see them.
Okay.
However, this air genasi is part of a monk monastery that sort of treats his father as a god, and he is actually sort of he's sort of like being groomed to be next in line, or like to sort of like be the head of the monastery. But he sort of like gets jaded by the idea of it and the pressure on it, kind of thing. So he sort of leaves to go off by himself, and when he comes back, it's sort of taken over by people who are using his father's name in a way of like to do evil things. So he goes to a rival monastery and learns there to pick up his shadow magic.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That was just
Really
like a
that.
vague idea I had behind it. And then painter supplies and thieves' tools and stuff I just threw in there because it was funny. And I assume genies can talk primordial. They're old.
Yeah.
I don't think genies have a specific language, and if they do, oh well.
I'm assuming it's probably the elemental language, like Ignan and Aquan and stuff like that.
Yeah, which I don't think you're allowed to learn.
Well, that's a shame. That's really cool.
You're not allowed to learn them because they never come up. You'd be constantly hoping for that one water elemental to come up, so you can say, "All right, mate," and it says, "I'm gonna drown you." Cool, glad I picked that.
With that, though, I'm going to leave a little comment for you guys. If you've made it to this point in the podcast, I'd like you to leave a comment incorporating the word rose.
Ooh, that's lovely.
There you
That's
go.
lovely.
Yeah. Please leave a comment on the YouTube version if you've got this far, all the way through the episode. We really appreciate you for listening. That's going to do it for this episode. Thank you very much for listening, everyone. You can follow me on social media at Pete Quinnell, Liam at Unlawful Exile, if he's still got his Twitter handle.
Always,
he's
mate.
Changed it.
Always, you know me.
Yep, wait until you change it, and then you won't be saying that. If you're listening on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and enable notifications, because I will be uploading more content soon, as I teased in this episode, and of course more podcast episodes. If you're listening to the podcast version, I also have a YouTube. Go and check it out. And if you're listening on the YouTube, it's also in podcast version if you want to listen to it on the go. But yeah, that'll do it for this episode. We'll see you guys, hopefully, next week for another episode. Thank you very much. We love you very much. Stay safe out there. Goodbye.
Bye all.